Zanies, I've always wondered, is ERLC worth playing with minimal settings? Will you still get the full experience if your PC is not that great? And honestly, what happens if you play ERLC in the lowest settings possible? Join me as I answer those and many other questions in today's episode of Emergency Response Liberty County. Welcome to another ERLC video, Zanies. I've always been curious to play ERLC in super minimal settings just because this question and concern comes up in the comments quite a bit. The way we're going to break this down is we're going to drive around town with the graphic settings all the way up. There's also a secondary menu for those of you that don't know in the top right corner, and I'm talking about the wrench and gear icon. That has some additional visual options, and these will be turned on to begin with as well. To help create a better visual representation, I'm going to use split screen when possible, and I've synced up the different gaming sessions as best as I possibly could using the in-game clock. Here we go, Zanies. To begin, we're going to drive around town paying attention to how the streets populate, the horizon generates, and how quickly frames are produced. Did you guys see that switch between low and high graphics? I'll add a bell and a tag during the editing to help you guys recognize the switch if it isn't that obvious. Driving around with high settings, the environment looks full and rich. Here in the split screen, you can see how that looming shadow doesn't follow every single frame and how far out into the horizon you can actually see. There's also the aspect of sharpness, but I think that's going to apply to every scene, to be honest. Next, we're going to look at how visualization is affected when we're in a position to see the entire map. Wow, I have a feeling this is going to be an eye-opener. Yeah, look at that difference, Zanies. That's insane! Let's have a look at the details in a car now. By the way, I didn't just randomly pick the Mustang. I chose the Mustang because it's actually quite an intricate car design with tons of lines, contours, and panels. Another great example of this in the game is a Corvette. Both cars have been very well designed for ERLC. Although there's differences, they're not as pronounced as I anticipated them to be. The biggest difference is that the car obviously loses its sheen, reflection, and depth, but other than that, this is a pretty consistent look. Who can forget about the emergency lighting system? With the update that was rolled out last year, the lights, the reflection, the brilliance has just never been the same, but I'm sure we'll spot some differences when we start to mess with the graphics. Another big difference here, Zanies, with the graphics all the way up, the lights seem to be concentrated and focused, and with the graphics all the way down, there's almost a flat look to the lights, and they're sort of just scattered everywhere. It's almost as if the light is just going in any direction to allow it to shine. You can also see that there's a loss of sharpness in the car's shape, but as I said before, that's to be expected. I'm curious to see how some of the environment graphics load. By this, I mean fires, street lights, trees, grass, trash, really everything. Let's have a closer look, Zanies. In this next scene, the graphics weren't as effective as I thought they would be. The shadows are off in the settings, so you can't really ding on that. Let's look at the fire though. With the graphics all the way up, I was able to spot the fire blocks away before I was even on the scene. And you can see the smoke and fire building up with great animation. Looking at the scene with the low graphics now, I literally had to be right up next to the fire to see any kind of detail. If I were playing as a firefighter, this would definitely be an obstacle. In the side-by-side, you'll be able to see the difference quite obviously. How about a quick one here on the car wash? The car wash is full of vibrant colors with quick moving props, so this will be a good one for sure. Same thing here as with the emergency lighting system, the lights and colors are not as concentrated and everything appears to be flat in the low settings. Next, I want to see the difference in the gun store and in the guns and how the guns handle and fire when the graphics begin to change. There was also no real difference here. The difference became more obvious when I switched to the first-person shooter. Here you can see that the muzzle flash completely disappears in the low settings and the animation is completely different as well. The fire and rescue team has a lot of tools and accessories that we can use to sort of gauge how the gameplay begins to change as we begin to tweak with the graphics. With the fire hose, the medical bag, the stretch board, and many other tools, this is going to be a good way to see all those differences. Tremendous difference in the animations and effects here. These sort of speak for themselves. Alright, Zanies, and I'm going to do one final comparison in the Department of Transportation team just because the street sweeper job is dependent on randomly generating debris and trash on the road for you to be able to fulfill the job. So here we go, Zanies. This one surprised me. Other than the horizon and perhaps sharpness, you don't really lose the feeling of knowing where to sweep next. It's almost as if the game is prioritizing the graphics to help you fulfill the job, so that's great to see. As we end the video, Zanies, to sort of answer the question, what happens if you play ERLC in the lowest settings possible? We can obviously see that there's a huge reduction in some of the special effects when we talk about some of the tools like the fire extinguisher, the fire hose, and obviously the emergency lighting system when you play in either one of the police teams. But beyond that, to truly answer the question, is ERLC playable in the lowest settings possible? Yeah, it 100% is. Even though you can't see that far into the horizon, and it obviously does take several seconds for the frames to generate, nothing would prohibit prohibit me from playing ERLC if my computer or graphics card was not capable of generating the graphics more rapidly. It's still 100% playable. Will the experience change a little bit? Yeah, you might be missing out on some special effects, and just because the horizon doesn't load as quickly as it would if you had better graphics, I imagine that it is possible that someone in a pursuit, meaning somebody driving a fast car, might be able to get away if you're trying to chase them, just because you won't have that ability to look beyond what your computer is able to generate, if that makes sense. Well, Zanies, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This video was a little bit different than all the others I've ever done, but I really did want to address the question, and let me know in the comments below what kind of graphics you're playing with. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, long live the Zanies.